गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। ॐ योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्याश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। So till the verse number 55, sage Narada has given what is the highest devotion. He divides devotion into higher devotion and lower devotion. The highest devotion with all that it is inexplicable, that it is without any attributes, that it can, that such a person, it is anirvachaniya, it is of the nature of love, it is without desires, without attributes, increasing moment by moment. It is avichinnam, which is, it is continuous, unbroken flow towards, a flow of love towards the beloved. It is sukshmataram, it is subtler than the subtlest, and anubhava rupam, it is immediately experienced by the seeker in his own heart. It is his own direct experience. And tat prapya, having attained which, having had the experience of which, the devotee tadeva avalokayati, tadeva shrunoti, tadeva bhashayati, tadeva chintayati. Such a person, he can't, he sees, he feels, he experiences, he hears, he thinks nothing but that divine love everywhere. Thus becomes his experience, and eventually this eventually leads him to merge into the divine. But can we, those who are living in the world, practice this highest devotion? Sage Narada says that for a common man, it is very difficult to practice this highest devotion. To think about it is good, but to practice it will not happen, because this highest devotion happens to one. It cannot be cultivated. It happens. Then what can you do? And therefore he says, everyone must begin from the lower devotion. And there, this lower devotion, he says, is gunatrayi, meaning gauna bhakti, meaning devotion with colors, devotion with gunas. Because there are three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, depending upon the predisposition of each one's mind. Majority of the thoughts, is your character tamasic, is your character rajasic or tamasic. That will determine what type of devotion flows out of you. And therefore, in the 56th verse, in the chapter 5, section 2, he says, Gauni Tridha Guna Bhedad Artadi Bhedadva Gauni Tridha Guna Bhedad Artadi Bhedadva. He says the secondary devotion is of three kinds, according to the difference in the mental disposition of the devotee or according to the type of discontentment in the devotees. So, the first, as I said, the Narad Muniji says that we must practice every devotee where, as long as it is not naturally happening, the continuous flow of the thoughts toward the divine have not happened. What is that stage again? Pashyanti stage. In the heart. When it has not happened, you start with the loud chanting. You start with where you are. Don't imagine you are sattvic. Don't imagine you are the highest devotee, of the highest devotion type. No. You cannot sit straight away in meditation. Very few people can sit. Is it God? No. You have to chant the mantra. Slowly that mantra pervades your mind. Slowly that mantra takes you to silence. And then you go into meditation. To say, no, I am a meditator. And what is our understanding of meditation? Coming to the seat and go to sleep. That is not meditation. So slowly it happens. Because we are a product of change. We are a product of movement. We are a product of a product who is obsessed with action. To do suddenly, to tell you, don't do anything, it's not possible. So even on the seat of meditation, we do something and eventually come to undoing. And so here he says the highest devotion cannot be practiced immediately. And therefore, because highest devotion is not a product of conscious thinking. It happens. You are not bringing it about by will. It is a happening in your mind when all your obsessions, all your attachments, all your renunciations are in place. Isn't it? Then it happens. So he says, in order for that all-consuming love to happen in your mind, wherein the unbroken bliss, the unbroken love is flowing towards the beloved, for that particular state happens. It cannot be brought about. Only when the circumstances are right. Now, what are the circumstances that are right? Mind needs to be sattvic for that. Now, if the mind is sattvic or not? Now, here is some pointers. We will find out where each one of us is. Find out which category you belong to. And therefore, until and unless it is recognized that each person is a product of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, and each one of us is, through each one of us, all these three gunas are continuously expressing. Based upon these vasanas, are these memories, are these impressions which are expressing as desires in our mind, are they of the tamasic type? Are they of the rajasic type? Are they of the sattvic type? Determine from the data that is going to be given. And as long as the vasanas are there, as long as impressions are there in your mind, as long as desires are there in your mind, highest devotion cannot happen until unless you don't give up even the sattvic mode, that I am sattvic person, that I have purified my mind. Till then highest devotion will not happen, because still you are attached to the sattva, to goodness. And this way the highest devotion is possible only when all the vasanas have been sublimated. Only then it is possible. Then it happens. And therefore these three different ways, here it is told, artadi bhedadva. So the Lord is, the sage Narada is saying, first practice Gauni Tridha, first practice Gauni Bhakti, which will take you to the Mukhya Bhakti, which is the highest devotion. So for this, here it is told in the verse, the first point that is told, according the secondary devotion is of three kinds. There are two things that determine the type of secondary devotion. One is according to the differences in the mental disposition, and the second is according to the type of discontentment. That means what are the itches, what are the desires, what are the attachments that we are still harboring within our mind. So in this way, what is the vasana disposition in our mind, and what are the motives within our mind with which are predominant within us. Devotion does not say that because you are attached to the world, so don't practice devotion. Devotion does not say you are a murderer, so don't practice devotion. Devotion the path of bhakti does not say because you are a miser, because you are after wealth, because you want to satisfy desires, you cannot practice devotion. You can be whatever, and you can practice devotion. It is that one path which allows everyone to come to the feet of the Lord and merge into Him. So, who is a tamasic person? A tamasic person is who is a tamasic seeker, we should say, is a person who is seeking, putting lot of efforts into his devotion. And naturally, if he puts a lot of efforts, eventually he will get into, I am feeling sleepy, I don't want to go to the temple, I don't want to. But when you are children, mummy forces you, chant Gayatri Mantra every morning. Mummy, I got no time, bus is going to come. Chant, get up early, 5 minutes, chant, only 10. So in our class, in children's class, majority of the children eat food and then come. That is my big challenge. So after food, how do you handle them? All of them are sleepy all the time. So what do I do? So we chant mantras, we chant everything, then Gayatri Mantra, Om Bhurvasva, and you chant 10, 15, half of them are gone. Suddenly, the position is perfect, eyes are closed, mouth is stopped. Then I say, if you go to sleep and you don't chant the mantras, the number of chants will double. I have to give something, some shock treatment. And they thought I am joking first. Swamiji finishes after 12. Swamiji finishes after 18 mantras, he closes. And one day when I saw all of them taking me for granted, I increased to 36. And 36. Swamiji, that was very long. Did we do 18 or did we do what? How much did we do? I don't know. I think we did 18. Some smart ones, they started counting. Swamiji, we did 36. Good, you are awake. That's what I wanted. Then I increased it to 54. Straight away, one day. After some time, not straight away. And then Did we do 36? I said, we did the same as last time. Same thing I do with meditation also. Sometimes normally 5 minutes, but nowadays I'm taking it to 7 minutes, 10 minutes. When I see they are really with it, from their countenance, let them be there for some more time. Because otherwise they will never practice silence in their life consciously. It's either play or sleep or studies. So this is one moment where they are awake also and they are silent also. And then how do I know? Then after the class I'll ask, so tell me what happened in meditation. My eyes are open seeing. So one small time. Swamiji, my eyes were closed but I was feeling scratchy all the time. Why? Because they have played so much and not taken bath and come. So all that scratching, monkey. And yet the grown-ups, those who are 13, 12, 13, 14 years, for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, they sit in that silence, undisturbed. It's a joy to watch them. So, the journey is, tamasic means what? Who is totally dependent on someone, cannot, every child is born tamasic. Clean the poo, clean the loo, clean the vomit, drinks the food, milk comes out clean, give the bath, can't do anything. It's tamasic. Becomes a teenage, as it grows up, becomes rajasic. As it grows further, then it becomes sattvic. When does it become sattvic? After 70. So, we have a long way to go there.
I'm certified Sattvic.
Huh?
I'm certified Sattvic.
Okay. She is certified.
Certified Brahma.
So, when so from tamas, we take responsibility. In tamas, what is our, predisposition? Our predisposition is that here in the language of the Gita or even the Narad Muni, it's Artadi Bhedad. There are 3 types of people, types of secondary devotees who can be classified. They are Arti, Artha, Jigyasu and Artharthi. So who are Artharthis? Artharthis are those who are praying to the Lord or devoted to the Lord to get the goodies of the world. Oh Lord, let my child pass year 12 with good marks. Oh Lord, let me not be retrenched from my job. Oh Lord, I want to buy a house. Let a right house for the right amount come into my life. So, oh Lord, please, I should find a parking spot. How many of us has done that? Isn't it? So when our devotion is only for a parking spot, only for something in this world, only for some relationship, only for our children's marriage, only for our health and wealth, such a person has got always a hook. So he makes the Lord the means and the world the goal. Artharthi. This is the tamasic type. Artharthi. 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 But it's nothing wrong, isn't it? It's better than not remembering Lord. So he is making the Lord the goal, Lord the means and the world the goal, the destination. please pray, pray. And for such people say very nice, you know, everything by the Lord's grace. This came by the Lord's grace, that came by the Lord's grace, my child passed, and Swamiji, like I told you day before yesterday, that lady, she said, I will offer, I will feed all the people with khichdi after if my son passes year 12 with good marks. He came with good marks. But the khichdi has not been pakawad yet. Still happening. It hasn't happened. So all these are artharthi types. And once you go through this process, somewhere, somehow, by the grace of the Lord, you come across a satsang, you come across a Mahatma, you come across a book, you come across a text, you come across a, what is that? वो कौन सी कॉमिक्स है अपनी? अमर चित्र कथा, अमर चित्र कथा. You read those somewhere, somehow, by it can only be His grace. You suddenly realize, Arey yaar, what am I? How long I'll keep asking the Lord for this, that. Then you start wanting to know, acha, what is more there to be known? If world is not going to give me any satisfaction, then what can I do? And then you start studying the books, you start reading the stories, you start doing the pujas, the worship, you start chanting the name of the Lord, you start discovering. And this is the second type, jigyasu. Jigyasu means the one who is seeking. Initially he was only for the world, now he has dropped the world, he has come to realize world does not have any answers. What am I trying to maintain? That which is always changing. Why should I waste my energies by praying to the Lord with regards to all this in the world? Then he starts searching. And in that search for what is this God, he is now like curiosity takes over and adventurism takes over. And he starts reading all different types of books, he will go to this yoga class, he'll go to that pranayam class, he'll go to that satsang, he'll go and chant this mantra. I went through that. I took almost 10, 11 initiations from different people, all masters. Buddhist, Taoist, Kundalini, Kriya Yoga, everything. Why? There is no shortage. Which one is for me? I don't know. So anyone I used to go, they used to say, come, there is initiation. Chalo bhai, chalo. A Chinese fellow came here and he spoke very nicely, not in English, Chinese. Therefore very nicely, I couldn't understand anything. But afterwards when I asked the people, they explained, this is what, someone was sitting next to me and he was explaining. Oh, so beautiful. Taoist he was. And he says, oh, you come, I am initiating, you seem very, very, hungry for it. I said, okay. Next time, myself and Stefan, we both went, got initiated. The very difficult mantra he gave us. Couldn't even chant. Now I have forgotten what that mantra was. But that mantra he gave, I took that mantra and sincerely I was chanting. Yes, I did get some deep meditation, but that afterwards it went away. Then the one Buddhist monk, he also gave, that also went away. So there's no shortage, but that stage of curiosity, that stage of adventurism, that stage of wanting to know more. What is this God? What is this divinity? What is this self? They say it is there, but what? Is it in the temple? Is it in the books? Is it in my mind? Is it my idea? Is it my concept? Or is it really there? So this journey begins. And for that, you will, as the momentum increases, your search for it, wherever you can, you don't leave any stone unturned to find out what it is. And as a result, what is happening? This curiosity is there. Initially, I must find out who is this I. The ego is wanting to find out. It wants to find out what devotion is, what Lord is, what the self is. But ego can never find out. Everywhere it goes, cannot be known. It goes there, cannot be explained. It goes there, it is infinite. It goes there, it is eternal. Arey yaar. All these are open-ended answers. There is no solution. I want a perfect solution. And it takes some time for that mind. But because this habit is there, I have to search, I have to be in control, I have to know, till the penny drops that only by loving the Lord you can come to know the Lord, come to be with the Lord. See? Only then. Here what are we? We are in the second stage, Jigyasu. The highest devotion has to happen, isn't it? We may not be Jigyasu, we may be even Artha, which is the Sattvic type. So here this Jigyasu is another way of putting it is, this Artharthi is the one who looks at the, initially he thinks of the Lord for getting things in the world. But he has analyzed, he has looked at it, everyone knowingly or unknowingly is looking at their life, how it is unfolding. And he realizes that everything that he has, I prayed, I fasted for my son to pass with good colors, and he has taken arts. He wants to be a musician. 1 week of fasting gone for waste. He wants to be a social worker. Social worker is a profession. And slowly, such type of incidents keep increasing in such a person's life, and they realize he gets disgusted of the world. Artharthi we are talking. And once he gets disgusted, because as long as the love for the world is there, till then next stage is not possible. Isn't it? So when will that stage come? Only when he has worked out that there are no answers in the world. So he wants to find out. He has got all the wealth, he has got all the power, he has got all the control, he has got all the servants, he has got all the houses and investments, but yet there is emptiness inside. Artharthi. So God has given him everything, but then what? So he becomes a Jigyasu. Then he starts searching. That's why all the Westerners are going to India, and Indians are coming to the West. They are becoming Artharthi, and those who have everything, they are becoming Jigyasu. So where can we go? Oh, India is the land of spirituality. And they go to Kashi, they go to Vrindavan, they go to the Himalayas, they go to Kailash, they go to Tirupati, so many places you will find them. No. Even if they don't allow us in the temple, it does not matter. This land is holy. They feel that way. And we Indians who are from India, holy it's okay. But Mercedes nahi hai. I need a nice 4-bedroom house with garden in the front and garden in the back and garden on the side and garden on this side. Maybe garden on the top also. Why? I'm tired of living in 1-bedroom apartment, in a flat in Delhi. Now we have to move. So, God, I have applied for immigration. Please let it come through. I will do Monday, Tuesday, Hanuman ka vrat. Thursday, Guru vrat, fast for Guru. And Saturday, Friday, fast for Devi, Shakti. And then one more, okay, Saturday also. And we keep doing fasting and eventually it comes. Then what? Struggle again, get everything, but still the emptiness is there. Fulfillment is not there. Even after getting everything. Then what? That's when the Jigyasu comes up. And who is this Jigyasu? Jigyasu, one level of understanding is, Jigyasu is curious about everything, he is adventurous, he is experimenting with everything, he wants to know who this Lord is. Another way of putting it is, this Jigyasu is he who knows that the God is. He knows that it is present. He knows that everything is functioning because of him. But he has not become one with him. He is convinced now. Jigyasu. These are different stages within the Jigyasu. He begins with curiosity, he concludes in the Jigyasu stage with the conviction that yes, the divinity is there. But now how do I become one with it? Because until and unless conviction is not there, till then the next journey is not possible, isn't it? Depending upon faith and conviction, then alone the next stage is possible. So he starts, and then the next stage, the sattvic stage. So the artharthi, the tamasic, has moved on to the jigyasu, the rajasic. All enthusiasm, serve the people, serve the Lord, everything is happening. But that also is not enough. So he comes to the artha, and artha is the one who what do you call, in the sattvic stage, he is discontented with everything, with all the world, with all the practices, and such a person only wants one and one thing alone, and that is the Lord. And he starts, at this stage, he starts doing, how do I abide in him? How do I become one with the Lord? In the previous place, it was only conviction. Now, how do I abide? How do I make it my own direct experience? Is it through puja? Is it through japa? He starts with something, and eventually, as he moves, it is in this stage that the single-pointed devotion towards the Lord is cultivated. Conviction is just, only conviction is not enough. You have to practice, you have to inculcate that devotion. In the Jigyasu stage, it's only merely an intellectual understanding that there is something higher, there is someone more greater, something that I should pursue. But in sattvic stage, that conviction is there, but now practice, the seeker the readiness is developed from the Jigyasu stage, and the ability is developed in the sattvic stage, and he starts developing his mind. He starts making his mind able to be contemplating, thinking, devoting itself entirely to that goal called the Lord. And he has already collected information, like we have collected information, that we have to inculcate love. We must have the faith in the Lord, and he starts doing that. Where his practice, again we go back to this stage of Vaikari, Madhyama and Para, Pashyanti. Vaikari is practice, loud chanting. Madhyama is also loud chanting. Pashyanti is automatic chanting. So where his remembrance of the Lord in his mind, his love for the Lord, which he had to invoke initially, now becomes an automatic continuous flow towards the Lord. That when it becomes continuous flow of its own accord, he automatically transcends the sattva, rajas, tamas and moves into higher devotion. Now he is in the hands of the Lord. Now he is not in the hands of the Prakriti. And in this way, the seeker becomes complete. Completeness of love. Love is itself complete. It does not require anything else to complete it. It is paripurna, means it is full in itself. It is complete in itself. Nothing can be added or nothing can be subtracted for it. Even if you take some, the more you give the love, the more the love remains the same. The more you add to it, still it remains the same. Purnamada Purnamida. And in this way, this sense of emptiness, this sense of incompleteness that the seeker was feeling in the initial stages was only on the account that his attention was on the world, which is continuously changing. As long as the attention and the thoughts in your mind are about the finite, this sense of incompleteness will always be there. And when the mind is totally absorbed in a continuous flow and is flowing towards the divine theme, automatically this feeling of incompleteness goes away. How? Try, you will find out. Just like as long as you are thinking of the sleep, you have not slept. But when the sleep has taken over, then there is no sense of the world. And how will you go to sleep? By thinking about the world? Not possible. You have to drop the world. But to drop the world, you don't have to put any efforts. You have to only think about the sleep. It's an inert state of experience. Here, it is a positive state of experience. It's you are conscious. And you are putting, instead of dropping the world, instead of renouncing the world, instead of giving up the sat, thinking about, oh, now from tamas I have come to rajas, from rajas I have come to sattva, understand you are still in the secondary devotion. You have not moved ahead. Because differences are still there. Then who is this highest devotion? Who does not have any semblance that the world is there, that his body is there. Because once you have gone beyond the three gunas, body is a product of the three gunas. The mind is also a product of the three gunas. But the mind is no longer knowing that I am thinking. It is happening. See? And you are totally involved, absorbed in it. You are consumed by that continuous flow. Just like the sleep consumes you, this love for the Lord consumes you. When that happens, that is highest devotion. There is no one to say that I am getting consumed. I am in ecstasy. Oh, more. Nothing like that. There is no expression. There is just an inner, I can't explain any more than that. And in this way, the fulfillment of the devotee is when his mind of its own accord, with deep love and deep, fulfillment, is moving towards that divine goal. Now the desire to gain that divine goal is also not there. Till sattvic point, till the artha, the desire to know the Lord is there. But once this flow has started, even the desire to know the Lord is also gone. Why? That love itself is fulfilling. That devotion that is being felt in the heart itself is the fulfillment. And it keeps on increasing, and as it was told in the previous verses, what was that? Pratikshanam. Moment by moment, it keeps increasing and increasing and increasing. The flow becomes stronger and stronger, deeper and deeper. And in this way, the the even though the when one has cultivated this attitude of love, where in this highest devotion, where there is no difference between the lover and the beloved, they are becoming one. It's one and the same. This relationship of the union, which is happened in this devotee's mind, it keeps growing and growing and growing till it consumes the entire, not only his own mind, but the entire creation. Whenever that devotee comes out, the world is there, no? It keeps consuming everything. Eventually, that mind becomes like the mind of the gopis. Everywhere they see Krishna and Krishna alone. Every cell they see Krishna. Every atom they see Krishna. Such a devotee now cannot, his eyes may see the forms, but his attention is on the divine. His attention is on the divine. And in this way, the Lord says that noble indeed are all these, but the wise man I deem as my very own self, for steadfast in mind he is established in me alone as the supreme goal. So it is only a person who has come to this conviction, come to this decision in his life that merging into the Lord alone is the ultimate goal. Such a person is called a jnani. Now he continues in Sutra 57. Uttarasmad Purva Purva Shreyaya Bhavati Uttarasmad Purva Purva Shreyaya Bhavati, that each succeeding one and preceding one becomes the nobler, the greater. Meaning, I have explained this, that the Narad Muniji is saying that each one, the Artha, the Sattvic, is greater than the Jigyasu. Jigyasu is greater than the Artharthi. To move towards the subtler and subtler realms is the more pervasive your mind becomes, the greater it is. Just like ice, water and water vapor, similarly body identification, mind identification and God identification. Which is subtler? Body identification? No. In tamas you are identified with the body, and because of the identification with the body you are identified with the whole world. In the second stage, in Rajasic, you are identified with the mind. And to be identified with the mind, living the truths of the mind, the aspirations of the mind, you have to, a person, a warrior who is a Rajasic, not Tamasic, a warrior doesn't care for his body. He will happily give his body away to protect his country, isn't it? But you tell a lazy fellow, hey, country is in trouble, you are one of the young fellows, come on, no. Will I get food there? Will I have a bed? No, you have to carry your own bed and your food. What, I have to carry all this? Can't. So in that is his fulfillment. But in a sattvic person, the body identification is not there, and not even the purpose, the aspiration that I must change the world, I must protect the world, I must do good for the world. All this is not there, and instead, what is this world due to? What is the cause of this world? What is the source of this world? Towards it, his attention goes. And the moment, even once his attention comes there, the divine virus has entered. and then he automatically moves on to the sattvic mode. And once the sattvic mode begins, now he has to now, like a small sapling, he has to protect it. He has to keep his attention again and again on that which caught his imagination. What is that source? Otherwise he will fall back into rajas or tamas till it becomes steady. That's all. After that, what happens is not in his hand. Uttarasmat purva purva shreyaya bhavati. And in this way, the jigyasu, the artharthi, he's thinking about the world. The jigyasu is thinking about the realm of the divine, but it is still in his mind. And the artha is the one who is venturing and surrendering himself into the divine realm. And here, when we see the three opinions of the sages that were given, the first one was given, deep love for worship of the Lord is devotion. Who said this? Parashar. Parashar Rishi told, no?
Yes.
Vyasji told. Okay. Deep love for worship of the Lord is devotion. So there when we say, what is the purpose? Worship is, at one level you can see, worship is outward. To all the pujas, archas, havan, yag, etc. Why do we do that? Let there be rain, let there be health, let there be, peace in the countries, let there be, for whatever, let there be graha shanti, let there be peace in the house when we enter a new house. So all these puja, archa, so that is for the artharthi. Then the second one was told that the one who is enjoying and fond of listening to the stories describing the glories of the Lord, such a person is already into the jigyasu stage. He wants to know more and more about the Lord. Who is he? Is he the Krishna of the Vrindavan, or is he the one who killed the Kamsa? Is he the one who stole kidnapped Rukmini? Is he the one who who inspired Arjuna to fight the war? Who is he? So inquiry begins. You want to know more. Which one is the real one? Can I know him through the stories? Initially, stories are necessary. Then from the stories you come to the Upanishads. You come to the knowledge, but that is not enough. Even if Upanishads are not there, you want to know more. You want to know who he is, essentially as he is, not through some story. And that's when the next stage, which is Artha, that comes about, where he says to God himself is his destination, God himself is his own gain. And therefore, the last stage, the Artha, he only contemplates only on the Lord to the exclusion of all other thoughts. And in this way, Narad Muniji has brought to our mind the clarity and that there is lower devotion and there is higher devotion. Don't straight away jump and start imagining in your mind that you are the highest devotee. Highest devotee is a non-doing state. It is a happening state. And this lower devotion is the secondary state, and because we are explaining to you that love is as being divided into higher state and the lower state, it also falls in the lower state. It does not fall in the higher state, because in the higher state this entire book has got no meaning, isn't it? Because then there is no doubt. There's continuous. Higher state means continuous flow of your mind with love and faith towards the feet of the Lord. That's all there is. So this way, start practicing. Narad Muniji says, from wherever you are. First assess yourself where you are and begin. Be alert, be vigilant. That is the price that you have to pay in order to grow from stage to stage to reach a state where it's all automatically happening. The Lord is Himself calling you towards Himself. Then in the sixth chapter, section 1, the topic is, after having told all this, is it so very difficult? Baapre, so many things I have to remember in devotion. No, there is nothing to remember. It is the easiest. So he compares the path of devotion to the path of knowledge, to the path of karma yoga, to the path of hatha yoga, to the path, what other paths are there, and shows that devotion is the easiest. That will be told in our next class, and we will chant some mantra. Anyone has any mantra? Whatever, say. Whoever. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Anyone wants to chant? You want to chant? Anything, some Sankirtan.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama.
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 Madhava Rama, Jai Jai Keshava 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 Rama.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama.
Durga Rama, Jai Jai Surama Rama.
Shulama Rama, Jai Jai Shulama Rama.
Durga Rama, Jai Jai Surama Rama.
Dhulaba Rama, Jai Jai Shulama Rama.
Ek Durama, Jai Jai Anek Durama.
Ekatu Rama, Jai Jai Anekatu Rama.
Ek Durama, Jai Jai Anek Durama.
Ekatu Rama, Jai Jai Anekatu Rama.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama.
Madhava Rama, Jai Jai Keshava Rama.
Madhava Rama, Jai Jai Keshava Rama.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama.
Durga Rama, Jai Jai Surama Rama.
Shulama Rama, Jai Jai Shulama तूलमारमा जय जय शूलमारमा
एक तू रमा जय जय अनक तू रमा
एक तू रमा जय जय अनेक तू रमा
एक तू रमा जय जय अनक तू रमा
एक तू रमा जय जय अनेक तू रमा गोविंद रमा
जय जय गोपाल
रमा गोविंद रमा जय जय गोपाल रमा
राधे 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 गोविंदा
राधे 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 गोविंदा
वृंदावन चंद्र
वृंदावन छंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधो राधे गोविंदा
नाथ नाथ दीना बंधु राधे गोविंदा
राधे 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 गोविंदा
राधे 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 गोविंदा
वृंदावन चंद्र
वृंदावन छंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधो राधे गोविंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीना बंधु राधे गोविंदा
जय जय विठ्ठल जय हरि विठ्ठल राधे गोविंदा
जय जय विठ्ठल जय हरि विठ्ठल राधे गोविंदा
वृंदावन चंद्र
वृंदावन छंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधो राधे गोविंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीना बंधु राधे गोविंदा
राधे 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 गोविंदा
राधे 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 गोविंदा
वृंदावन चंद्र
वृंदावन छंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधो राधे गोविंदा
नाथ नाथ दीना बंधु राधे गोविंदा
जय जय विठ्ठल जय हरि विठ्ठल राधे गोविंदा
जय जय विठ्ठल जय हरि विठ्ठल राधे गोविंदा
वृंदावन चंद्र
वृंदावन छंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधो राधे गोविंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीना बंधु राधे गोविंदा राधे 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 गोविंदा वृंदावन चंदा अनाथ नाथ दीना बंधु राधे गोविंदा
नवनीत चोर राधे गोविंदा
अनाथ नाथ नवनीत चोरा राधे गोविंदा
नंद कुमार नवनीत चोर राधे गोविंदा
नंद कुमारा नवनीत चोरा राधे गोविंदा
वृंदावन चंद्र
वृंदावन छंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधो राधे गोविंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीना बंधु राधे गोविंदा
अनाथ नाथ दीन बंधो राधे गोविंदा
जय जय विठ्ठल जय हरि विठ्ठल
राधे गोविंद
राधे गोविंद
राधे गोविंद
राधे गोविंद
वृंदावन चंद्र
वृंदावन चंद्र वृंदावन चंद्र
अनाथ नाथ दीनबंधु राधे गोविंद
अनाथ नाथ दीनबंधु राधे गोविंद
राधे 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 गोविंद
राधे 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 गोविंद वृंदावन चंद्र अनाथ नाथ दीनबंधु राधे गोविंद राधे राधे गोविंद
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
यशोदा के बाल 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 दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे
नंदलाल
दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
गिरिधर बाल दर्शन दीजो
गिरिधारी बाल दर्शन दीजो
नटवर लाल दर्शन दीजो
गिरिधर बाल दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
यशोदा के बाल दर्शन दीजो
यशोदा के बाल दर्शन दीजो
प्यारे नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो
नटवर लाल दर्शन दीजो गिरिधर बाल दर्शन दीजो नंदलाल दर्शन दीजो गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः ॐ योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. We are in the Sutra number 58, chapter 6, section 1. And here it is being indicated under the practices of supreme love. The first section says that this yoga or devotion is easy to practice. And then here it is being compared to the various paths. In the Sutra 58 it says, Anyasmat saulabhyam bhaktau Anyasmat saulabhyam bhaktau. So, than all other paths, that is yogas, devotion is really readily available and easily attainable. So now here Narad Muniji is giving an assurance, a promise that bhakti is the easiest way for us to pursue, and it can take you to the highest. And therefore he says, whether a person be tamasic, whether a person be rajasic, whether be a sattvic, there is no distinction. Everyone can begin, because the devotion, the love is already there in everyone's heart. It has not to come from somewhere outside. Whereas in the path of Gyan, for example, you need, what is that? You need to know the qualifications that are required are Vivek, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. Discrimination between truth and untruth, that is the qualification required. Then Vairagya, dispassion towards all things and beings, that is required. Renunciation is required. Then intense desire to know the truth is required. And even if that is there, but still the sixfold path of controlling the mind, controlling the senses, keeping the mind from not letting them out of the senses, then forbearance, then faith, and the samadhan, which is contentment. Until unless we don't develop these six qualities, till then wisdom, the knowledge, the jnana is not possible. These are the prerequisites in Jnana Yoga. And same way, if you go to Raja Yoga, the mystic path, in that again the health is very much important. If your limbs are not, your system is not healthy, you cannot practice Raja Yoga. And also the right environment, the right place, and that regular food, regular things that are required in order to practice Raja Yoga, those become inevitable, which every person cannot have in his life. Then comes Karma Yoga. In this Karma Yoga, the path of action, the prerequisite is that the person must be ready to act. If he is not ready, if he is not inspired to act, how can he do Karma Yoga? He says, I'll do it my way. So he must be ready to renounce the fruit of action. He must be ready to renounce the doership. Only then Karma Yoga will happen. Otherwise, he will continue to perform all actions with egocentric desires and lose the plot. So there also we see that until unless the Karma Yogi does not have love towards Karma Yoga, he cannot perform Karma Yoga. He will not dedicate all his actions to the Lord. And then the last one is Hatha Yoga. In Hatha Yoga again, you have to practice all the body must be flexible. It should do you should be able to sit for long periods of time. You should be able to do pranayam. That means your nostrils should be clear, and all those things are required. And again, in that you should only drink milk, or you should only eat this, or you should only eat that. Without which it will not be possible for such a person to reach the truth. Then you must have the right teacher. What people teach as Hatha Yoga and what our understanding of Hatha Yoga is, when we talk about Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, what we teach and what they teach is totally different. Our understanding, simple understanding of asana is Sat Asit Iti Asanam. The one who sits in truth is performing the perfect asana. And their asana is 64 different types of animal asana. So they will get lost if you don't get the right teacher. You can lose the plot. Whereas in this bhakti, in this path of devotion, the love is easily available, freely available, and to one and all. There is no discrimination that I am a jnani, or I am a Hatha Yogi, or I am a Karma Yogi. It is available to all of them, and all of them have to practice devotion in order to succeed in their path. If you don't have love for what you are, the scriptures, if you don't have love for the asanas, if you don't have love for the kriyas and etc. which your teacher has taught in Raja Yoga, if you don't have love for the Karma Yoga to serve without ego, you cannot perform any of those. You cannot perform and progress in any of those paths. So here it is told that the love is the foundation. The love is the capital of all people, whether they are tamasic, whether they are rajasic, whether they are sattvic. It's the common denominator of everyone. All they have to do is tap it. They have to begin from wherever they are. Normally man invests his love towards the world, house, children, relations, his investments. The way I see some people on our street, every Sunday to Sunday, they clean the car, chaka-chak, it's shining every Sunday. If only every Sunday, that energy which they are using to shine the car, they use it to shine their mind, wonders will happen. So love is there, but for what? For a clean car. For showering it upon the children or wife or parents or relatives. All that in the path of devotion, all that a person has to do is take that love and transfer it to the Lord. That's all. Because love is already there. In every other path you have to get something new. You have to do something else. You have to have some prerequisites. You have to have some qualifications. In love, in this path of devotion, no qualification is required. All you have to do is take it from here and transfer it towards the Lord and reach the destination. Automatically, As long as this is done, the Artharthi becomes Jigyasu, the Jigyasu becomes Arth. Automatically a tamasic person becomes Rajasic, from Rajasic he goes to Sattvic and goes beyond from there. So therefore, here in the 59th Sutra, the Narad Muniji says, Pramanantarasyan pekshatvat Pramanantarasyan pekshatvat Swayam pramanatvat cha Swayam pramanatvat cha Pramanantarasyan pekshatvat Swayam pramanatvat cha. Because love depends on no other proof. It in itself, being of the nature of proof, love is self-evident. So here it is told by our Narad Muniji that the path of love is the most easiest than as compared to other spiritual paths, and therefore it requires no other proof, no other evidence in order to prove itself. Love is proof in itself. Love does not require any other proof. For example, the discrimination. Discrimination depends upon the discrimination between the real and the unreal, between the right and the wrong, between the permanent and the impermanent, between the sentient and the insentient, between the temporary and the permanent. And this way, this viveka can be changing from moment to moment. Vairagya also, the proof of vairagya is that the person is remaining separate from all sense of attachments, is aloof from it. Then, but in devotion, we don't have to do anything. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, it's okay. Only the attitude needs to change. Only you can be practicing devotion while you are doing karma yoga, you can be practicing devotion while you are studying, you can be practicing devotion when you are taking the name of the Lord, you can be practicing devotion when you are walking. It doesn't require any specific situation in which it can be practiced. Anywhere, any moment, you can practice devotion. Devotion is its own proof, it is its own pramana. That was the word used. And it cannot be proved by anything else. Just like self cannot be proved by anything else, so also love cannot be proved by anything else. Love is self-existing. Love is self-fulfilling. Nothing else can fulfill it. And in this way, this ray of love, this ray of light of love is continuously glowing bright in everyone's heart. All we have to do is tap it and give it a direction. Knowingly, unknowingly, out of egocentric desires, because of ignorance, all that love is directed to unwanted fields. All we have to do is harness that love from those fields and apply it towards the Lord. And in this way, when we compare that with the various paths, just like karma yoga needs a field of action in order to be performed, devotion doesn't require a field of action. Anywhere it can be performed. Jnana, knowledge needs, knowledge cannot be given to everyone. The person has to be ready, otherwise he will not understand what knowledge you are giving me. But love, you saw the Munna Bhai क्या what is it?
जादू
हाँ?
की
जादू की झपकी. Hmm.
जादू की
जादू की झपकी.
हाँ
Huh? All you need to any person, just go and give a hug and that person feels fulfilled. That person feels accepted. You don't need to give knowledge. A person is, someone has lost someone and you give him, Arey yaar, Atma doesn't die. Acha, well wait till your parents die, then I'll come and say the same dialogue. We'll see at that time. But if you go there and just give a nice shake hand or a nice hug, and in that one hug, everything is communicated to the other person, isn't it? Nothing else is required. That sharing of love is more than all the words put together.
One heart fits all sizes.
Yes.
The size fit.
My hug doesn't fit him. He's too big. I tried.
Oh,
He's too big. So I had to stretch. So for knowledge there must be involvement. The student must be ready. He must be available to the studies, to the concepts that are being presented, to the ideas that are being presented in the texts. And if he is not ready, the knowledge will not take place. But for love, no pre-qualification is required. It just is. And this way, see, before I came here, when we started, we were finding it difficult to sit, no? I was. The ankles, the knees. But slowly, I got used to it. Used to it means I fell into it. Because last 12, 15, 20 days, no sitting down, only traveling. Hatha Yoga is also like that. The day you stop, everything freezes. Again you have to oil and service and the yoga starts. But if you don't do it, it's gone. But does love ever go if you don't practice it? Is always there. Do you have to practice love? You have to practice Hatha Yoga. You have to practice Karma Yoga. You have to practice Jnana Yoga. But do you have to practice love? I am practice loving someone. How do you practice that? You can't. It just is there. It's the most natural of your tendencies, and that is to love. And therefore, under all circumstances, bhakti can be practiced. It does not require a particular specific circumstance like other paths. And therefore, this devotion, as this person invokes it, feels it, and puts it in the right direction, that is the Lord, the Divine, the Supreme Divine, automatically, moment by moment, it keeps increasing and increasing and increasing. All he has to do is stop being idle, be aware that he has that ability to love, but he is applying it in the wrong direction. That's all he has to change and apply it in the right direction. In the 60th verse, already 60, okay. Shanti Rupat Paramananda Rupat Cha. Shanti Rupat Paramananda Rupat Cha. Oh, he's talking about me. Or I should say, I am being mentioned there. Also because love is of the nature of peace and it is of the nature of supreme bliss. Shanti means peace, Paramanand means supreme bliss, infinite bliss. And this devotion is of the nature of both. Here, sage Narada continues to inspire the seekers. And not only he says that the devotion does not need any proof, that devotion is not dependent on anyone, that devotion is its own proof, its own destination, but he also says that this devotion is of the form of tranquility, of the form of peace of mind, Shanti Rupat, and also not only of the nature of peace of mind, but also of the nature of supreme infinite bliss. When this devotion from the heart of the devotee starts flowing out towards the Lord, towards the feet of the Lord, it is not that after reaching the feet of the Lord it will become full. It is not that after he sees the feet of the Lord in his mind it will become full. It is not that after that love reaches the temple and searches under the flowers where the feet are, then the love will come out. It's already exploding inside. It doesn't reach a destination because it is itself the destination. See? Just by merely thinking of the one whom you love, that is the Lord, the Supreme Divine, automatically the mind starts becoming calmer and quieter and serener and eventually becomes silent. And in that calm, serene mind, he starts experiencing the bliss, the joy, the ecstasy. And once he tastes that, he wants to go back to it again and again and again and again. That's why we go back to food again and again and again. That's why we go back to the world again and again and again. That's why we get indulged in whatever we get indulged in because of this wrongly placed love. Now if you place it, but that love, when it is wrongly placed for some finite object, for some finite time, space and place or object, eventually it stops because that object is no longer there. Then what do? Then you search for another one, then you search for another one. But when it is for the Lord, for that supreme divinity, then there is no question of it becoming less. Only when it is directed towards the Lord, it will keep growing every moment more and more and more and keep expanding like you have never known before. And that expansion brings about this feeling of bliss within our hearts. And this way, to remain in that calm, serene, frame of mind, whether you are sitting in the temple, whether you are sitting in your lounge room or you are sitting in a class, that itself is the fulfillment. There is nowhere to reach. All that happens in devotion is the love that I am feeling right now, it will become infinite folds more. That's all. It's not that love is going to reach something and then it is going to become more. No. In knowledge you have to reach something. Where? Brahman. In yoga you have to reach something. Where? Atma. Isn't it? In karma yoga you have to surrender your actions and doership to the Lord. So there is a doer. And you are remembering, I have to remember the Lord, I have to remember the Lord. But in devotion, the love which is already there, that only keeps on building up and building up and building up and building up. Nowhere to go, nowhere to reach. Huh? Nowhere to go, nowhere to reach. Such is this love. Shanti Rupat, Paramananda Rupat cha. And we have already said before that this love is anirvachaniya, it is inexplicable. How can you explain deep sleep? How do you explain deep sleep? Absence of thoughts, isn't it? But absence of, you told us that there are no thoughts, but you didn't tell us what is deep sleep. You didn't tell us what is deep sleep. Similarly, here in devotion, you cannot speak about what this love is. It's only your own direct experience. Whether it is in a quantity of a tiny quantity or it is in the infinite quantity, it is your own direct experience whether you are feeling love or not feeling love. And there is no person on this planet or anywhere else who has not got love in their heart. It is there. Because that is the substratum. That is the substratum. It is that element with which we interact with everything and everyone. Fan it. Grow it. So can we explain what love is? No. We can only directly experience it. And the place to experience it in its fullness is the state of peace, is the state of the supreme bliss or joy, which can be brought about by directing the love towards the divine theme. And in this way, I have inadvertently already talked about this, and that is when you come to that climax, because there are no words to express, even scriptures, they say ah hu, that's all they can say. There is no other word. Either there will be a smile on the face, there will be twinkling in the eyes, but those are not the signs. No words. It's inexplicable, unexpressible. People can only say, oh, it is awesome, it is fantastic. Then what? How fantastic? So much, man, I can't. It is too. What next? When we come across some small child, I love you so much. He becomes afraid. Aa gaya, Rakshas aa gaya. But what are you trying to say? I love you is one statement. I love you. Is still the same hug, maybe a little bit tighter. But in that, you have said that how infinitely I love you, isn't it? But still, saying I love you is not equal to what you are feeling inside. It cannot be. Even that hug that you give that person cannot express what you are feeling inside. Those tears cannot come express what you are feeling inside. So it's all these put together plus something more. So it feels that as long as we are practicing this, it feels that it is within our reach, that it can be attained. Now what is our concept of devotion? I have to devote myself to the feet of the Lord. I have to become one with the Lord. I have to become merged into the Lord. I have to, all those words we use, isn't it? I have to have the grace of the Lord. And what is Lord? Of the nature of love. And where is love? It's already there in your heart. So where will that love go to reach its fulfillment? Where? It is its own fulfillment. Now with this understanding, with this background, you practice devotion, then it is not how many rosaries you complete. It is not how many rosaries you complete. Then it is how, with what amount of love you can invoke within your heart to remember that one name of the Lord. Om Namah Shivaya. In that every faculty of yours, every feeling that you are feeling inside your heart is being offered to that divine. There you go. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Nothing happens. But you chant once with deep love, deep surrender, deep feeling, it will, there and then you will reach the destination. And in this way, Shanti Rupacha, Paramananda Rupacha, such a person who is feeling this extreme bliss and peace within himself, he cannot be aware of the world. What is happening in this world, the murders, the wars, governments changing, house getting looted, share market crash, car being stolen, house has been emptied by the thieves, even his clothes have been taken away, he is not aware. Why? 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 That's one way of looking at it. As this love expands, it includes the entire world within its womb. So, who can take what from me? If the teeth bite the tongue, do you have any reaction towards the teeth? So, whatever someone takes or whatever destruction is going on, whatever is being lost, he is totally unaware. He does not react. His mind is not available to it. Why? He cannot come down from where he is already. That supreme peace and tranquility, that supreme bliss that he is experiencing. To come down from there means suicide. To remain there is salvation. To become aware of the world which is full of differences, full of competition, full of comparison, full of praise, insult, hunger, thirst, comfort, discomfort. This is the suicide that we are committing. Energy is, I is same. When I is world focused, it's committing a suicide. When that same I is focused towards the Lord, it attains salvation. Because what is I of the nature of consciousness? Consciousness is love swarup, of the nature of love. So when that love is directed towards the world, it becomes frozen, it becomes attachment. When that love is directed towards the Lord, it becomes freedom, it becomes salvation, it is liberation, not becomes, it is liberation. It leads to liberation, if you may say. And in this way, Narad Muniji is saying that it is easy to attain devotion because it is the easiest. And giving these reasons, now which path will we follow? The roar of Vedanta. That will roar of Vedanta with devotion. And in this, so just recapping here, in the previous verses, we saw that the three gunas, there was secondary devotion and primary devotion, Mukhya Bhakti and Gauna Bhakti. To get to this Mukhya Bhakti, higher devotion, natural devotion, we have to first, Narad Muniji is saying, we must first practice secondary devotion, and that secondary devotion is wherein a person raises himself from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva. Meaning, he makes the Lord the means, world the goal. Then he realizes that there is no end. He has to do more and more prayers to get more and more desires fulfilled, and he starts getting exhausted. And by grace of Lord, one day he comes to realize that that answers don't lie in the world. There must be some other way, and that's the time he starts becoming curious about this all-powerful principle, about the self, about the Lord, whichever way he puts it. And he starts reading, he wants to listen to the stories, he wants to inquire, and as a result of that, eventually he reaches a stage once he becomes absolutely convinced as a jigyasu, as a seeker. When that conviction through reflection, contemplation, chanting the Lord's name, whichever way, he becomes convinced. After that, he does not want anything from this world except that Lord, because he understands, he realizes that only in loving that Lord his salvation lies. And from then on, he becomes automatically that artha, the sattvic devotee, which was an aspect of the secondary devotion, suddenly of its own accord jumps into the category of higher devotion, and from there on he does not come down to sattva, rajas, tamas. He does not come down to artha, jigyasu and arthartha. It's not possible. He will keep maintaining, do whatever it takes, he will keep remaining there again and again, again and again. He will find new ways. In fact, it's not he will find, that love makes him look at everything and offer it as ahuti, as an offering into that fire of love which is blazing within his heart towards the Lord. And it burns away every attachment, it burns away every entanglement, it burns away every entrapment which the world can throw at him. And as a result, he becomes free. And then to show that this path is not a difficult one, it is the easiest, our sage Narada did a analysis between the various paths, and there he said, Anyasmat Saulabhyam Bhaktau, that Sulabha. Sulabha means easy, very, very easy to practice. That bhakti is very easy to practice compared to others. And then he said, Pramanantara syana apekshatvat swayam pramanatvat, that this devotion does not require anything else to prove. It is self-established, it is self-fulfilled, it is self-acknowledged, it is a fulfillment in itself, whereas other paths are not so. And therefore, because it is self-fulfilling, therefore it is Shanti Rupat, Paramananda Rupat Cha. It is of the nature of peace, and it is of the nature of supreme bliss. And that is why we like, if someone loves us, we enjoy if we get opportunity to love someone. Whichever little way we are able to express that, it gives us fulfillment. And with this, now he comes into the next chapter. In the chapter 6, section 2, from verse 61 to 66, he tells what are the obstacles to the practice of devotion. And these practices, we'll do it in a different recording, and we'll take it in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।